Hi everyone, this is Professor Benjamin, and we are moving into a very important session or week for this course. So this week coming up, you have your midterm due. So we're going to cover climate change and you have your midterm exam, which means we're halfway done this course. So looking in it from a positive direction, fantastic, we're halfway done this course. And we are now moving into only covering one session a week. So we have two really good things, but it is a very important week for us. So last week we covered food and air. A lot of you did a great job. Some of you are still struggling with meeting the deadlines in this course. There's only so much I can do, is that it's repetitive. It's the same schedule for this course, and it'll be the same schedule throughout the entire semester. So every Tuesday, your initial posts are due. They are required to be at least 300 words in length, have proper mechanics, have proper paragraph use, capitalization, spelling, proper use of sources, and then your response posts need to be at least 200 words to a fellow classmate, and you make a really sound response. I agree with you, I disagree, and here are the reasons why. So we covered food and we covered air. Food, wonderful. A lot of you watched the film, which I'm really happy about. Some of you, I could tell, might have only watched part of the film. So make sure you watch the film, because there is a question on the midterm exam regarding the food incorporated question. So make sure that you watch that. Last week in the roundup, I gave specific, very detailed information about the midterm exam. You can find the midterm exam review sheet under session 6. Make sure that you write out your answers before the midterm exam. And if you have any questions about the midterm exam, please go back and watch the roundup from last week. It contains specific information about the midterm exam. So this week we're going to cover, well, air was covered last week. Air will not be on the midterm exam. So the midterm exam only covers through food. Just FYI, it is written on the midterm exam sheet. So here's your midterm exam. You'll have one chance. You'll have 3 hours, one chance between tonight at 11:59 and next Sunday at 11:59. So don't forget. This week we cover climate change. You have your climate change forum due, and we have a climate change quiz due, but you also have your midterm exam due. So make sure you, of course, write out all the answers for the midterm before you start taking the exam. I want specific length. I want some proper sourcing in your, you can read all about that, and you can find all my information about the midterm exam in last week's roundup. So this week we are only covering one session, which is climate change, which is fantastic. And then as we move forward, we'll only be covering one session a week. So you'll feel a little relief after the end of this week, after your midterm exam is over. Now, last week we covered air and we covered food. Don't forget, by tonight, 11:59, you have your 2 quizzes due, one for food, one for air. A couple students reached out to me about your concerns about the quizzes. I want to remind you that the quizzes are only the information from the textbook chapter that's related to the quiz. So the extra articles and podcasts and things of that nature are not addressed on the quiz. The quiz is only directly related to the chapter reading. So if you find yourself struggling, read the chapter, have the textbook open, and you can flip through the textbook as you're answering the questions. I would actually tell you to answer the questions as many as you can first, and then go back and check to make sure your answers are right, or to confirm maybe a couple questions that you still are a little leery about because you're not positive. So make sure you have read the chapter first before you take the quizzes. Okay, so a lot of you are doing a great job answering the questions. Some of you are still just struggling because it's just a lot of work in a short period of time. 10-week courses are really intense, especially in online format. So don't forget, just a quick roundup. Number 1, we covered air and food last week. By tonight, 11:59, you have your 2 quizzes due, one for food and one for air. This week coming up, we are covering climate change, which means we have our climate change initial post due by Tuesday, 11:59. We have a climate change response post due by Thursday, 11:59. And you have your quiz for climate change due by November 5th, 11:59, which is next Sunday. You also have your midterm exam due by next Sunday, 11:59. The midterm exam, you need to prepare before the midterm exam, and you can find all of the questions that will be asked on the midterm exam right here on the review for the midterm, which can be found right under the food session. A lot of detail was given about the midterm exam in last week's roundup, so please go back and listen to last week's roundup, and you'll have a lot of helpful hints for the midterm exam. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I will cover air and climate change. I'll give you some helpful hints for the final exam. When I cover climate change, when I send out a roundup next week about climate change, I'll add in a little bit about air because that will be on the final exam. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. And good luck on your midterm exam. I know if you prepare before the midterm exam, all the midterm exam should be is copying and pasting into the portal, the midterm exam portal. Okay? So have a fantastic week.